moving on. No, but I mean, this is really sort of like a Q&A style, more casual. I've already spoke to Alison anyway about the Rewind team. I'll let them introduce themselves. I figure most of the agencies in this group know or are working actively with Rewind. So I'm sure there might be some questions there. And I know Alison, you've already spoken with all of my agencies very recently. But these roundtables are pretty casual. We have a Q&A style thing. I know that the general topic today is going to be, I'm really interested in Rewind copy and some of the topics around that. But at the same time, it's open to the people in the group to share some of their insights, questions, concerns, and to share it as a collective so we can try and support each other. I feel like I started off on a really negative tone. So it sounds all doom and gloom, but it's not that. So anyway, I'll let you guys introduce yourselves and then let's go around the room a little bit.
Sure. So I'll kick it off. My name is Alison. I head up the partner marketing for Rewind. And I joined Rachel last month for a masterclass with some of her agencies to reintroduce Rewind copy. So we have had copy since 2016, but recently we recognized, it wasn't really performing the way we had anticipated it could or should. And of course, with that, it's obviously an anticipation part. So we were like, there's something wrong with the app? There's something wrong with the positioning? What do we look at? And one of the key findings we had from that was people just don't know it exists. And so that was really interesting. And when I did my masterclass with Rachel last month, I thought, let's bring this to the forefront of agencies. We feel super strongly that our agency partners can definitely benefit from copy just as much as you can benefit from backups with your clients. So we're open to discussing it. We'd love to hear your feedback for those who are already partnering and using copy. For those who aren't already partners, absolutely love to partner with you and see what we can do to build each other's brands and build each other's lead generation. I have included our fantastic partner account manager, Sam, on the call because he's far more knowledgeable with regards to our products than I am. And so I'll turn it over to him to have a quick intro of who he is and what he does, and then we'll open it up to the floor.
Hey, I guess that's me, partner account manager. I don't know about more knowledgeable, maybe more resourceful. I can dig through our drive. No, but honestly, I've been with Rewind for 2 years now. Before this, I was at Shopify for 5 to 6 years, helped grow their point of sale from beta to where it is today. And then it was, I was one of those reshuffle Shopify people, not this round, but around previously, that not make headlines. So I can guarantee you that all those people will land on their feet. And as Rachel was mentioning, stress is high right now. But you know what? Let's be positive. We're all here today. We're all happy. We're all breathing. And we're going to talk about Rewind copy, which is not that exciting, but it also is very exciting at the same time. So I don't know. Should we do a quick intro on copy, Alison, and then kind of see its needs and benefits? Does that work?
Yeah, I think that's a great place to start. And then we'll move to the open up the floor. Maybe just for those who don't know, Rewind, intimately. So we're a backup service provider. We back up for BigCommerce, Shopify, QuickBooks, Trello, GitHub, 365, Jira, and we're currently working on a Confluence backup that will launch likely this year, potentially, but I'm not in the product or dev side, so don't quote me on that. And we are Canadian based, so we're out of Ottawa, Ontario, which is the capital of Canada, if anybody doesn't know that. We sadly don't have any mangoes like Rachel does, but maybe she'll ship some over for us.
I won't.
No, because
I'm going to eat them all. I will eat all of them.
And I've been told by the time they get on or off the island, it will be, next year. But yeah, so Sam, if you want to kick it off, which is kind of a outline of copy and maybe even we could incorporate for some who might not know, just kind of how backups and copy can work together, if that works for you, Sam.
Yeah, for sure. So I'll kind of start with the normal spiel. Alison, I'm probably gonna repeat some of the stuff you just said, but yeah, for people who don't know, Rewind is the #1 leading backup service for all the lovely platforms that Alison mentioned. We are the only Shopify Plus certified backup app. We are the leading BigCommerce app. We're the leading Trello backup app, and I believe QuickBooks as well now. And as Allison mentioned, we also do Jira, Microsoft Office 365, GitHub, and Confluence coming very soon. It will be this year. Super quick, super easy, and Jira. Where backups come in is we are an organizational level backup for your SaaS platform, any ones that I just listed. Basically, the way I think about it is if you're renting a house from someone, say that house is Shopify or BigCommerce, and your plumbing breaks, you call the landlord, that's them. You spill white wine or coffee on your white couch, that's your issue. Your landlord's not going to come and steam clean your couch. So that's where Rewind comes in. We are that organizational level backup. We do automated backups. We store them for 365 days. We back up as much as we possibly can across every platform. And then we also provide you with the interface to restore either for your clients or give them the power to restore it by themselves. So that's Rewind backups in a nutshell. And then the way copy works is for Shopify, we have a one-time copy. So you could set up a staging site, or if they're doing multiple sites, say Canadian, US, UK, and they want to do a quick copy of that site to work off it instead of rebuilding or exporting and importing all of your stuff, copy can easily push that across. We also have a product called Continuous Copy, which every change you make, you can highlight what you want to push to your other stores. So this is a really handy tool for yourself if you're tasked with the rigorous thing like, oh, I want my homepage image changed on all of my stores. You don't want to log into each and every store. You can change it on one and push that change across the board. If they update all new product images, do it once and then let us push it across. So it just relieves a lot of spaces for error, because human error is the number one reason to lose data and to have issues. Like it's hard to say to customers when it's like, no, you're going to mess up. Like they're like, oh, I haven't done it before. It's like, well, trust me, you're going to make a mistake one day and you're going to wish you had Rewind. So with that being said, does anyone currently have questions about Rewind or copy or use cases? I mean, I know it's a very vague overview, very high level overview. But I guess I could kind of start with does every agency kind of push their clients to have a sandbox store or a test store before putting on a live app or putting in custom code?
I can start. I primarily work with BigCommerce,
okay.
Which, from what I can gather, the version of kind of Rewind copy is a little less feature rich than the Shopify version. Okay, yeah. I wasn't sure if it was just. So I guess with BigCommerce, there is a general challenge of staging sites versus production sites. They do, from a theming side of things, that works just fine. From the data side, a use case that I kind of run into is them trying to improve their product information and then push it to the live site. Like that's something that's really tricky to do. And it seemed to me when you're doing the introduction there, Sam, that the continuous copy feature that's on Shopify right now could be a solve for that. I know it's not for BigCommerce, but is that the way that feature is primarily used, is for people to be able to stage content on their staging site and then pick and choose what they want and push it to the live site when the time is right?
Yes, exactly. Yeah.
And can it be scheduled? This is all on Shopify because it's not on BigCommerce, but is it a schedulable thing as well, or just it's always done at a certain set time?
It's a manual push. So anytime you want to do it, you would push it manually. We don't do it continuous. It has to be set off by you.
Okay. And then is there a connection between the source store and the staging store and the production store? So it's easy to make product updates, essentially. In other words, if you're making a modification, it's not recreating the product. It's really just updating the product if they both have matched in the past.
Yes, exactly. Yeah. So if you wanted to update a certain collection with new sizing or a new description, you could just do it on the one and then highlight product details, and then you'd copy it over to your other sites.
And is there any plan on the roadmap for BigCommerce, or is there technical limitations that make it not possible right now?
Do you want me to, yeah. So he always passes the easy questions off to me. So the quick answer is yes, there are discussions being had about what we do with the BigCommerce copy product and where we can take that with regards to the limitations from the BigCommerce platform, and then obviously the limitations from like our app and how they integrate with each other. I don't have a definite like road. It is something that we are talking about. Okay,
so I'll keep an eye out for that. I mean, that would be if it does become available. That's definitely I would say a challenge with BigCommerce customers. They're always kind of stuck with editing live data, or they have to use a PIM, which is quite expensive to kind of do that setup. The other question I was wondering is with pricing with the backup, is it still is orders based from what I can gather from the website, and is that there to stay? I know it's been like that for a while. I'm just kind of curious. The biggest, I comes from a place where my customers, their biggest gripe is, well, I only have 20 products. I only have, and yeah, I do a lot of orders, but it's only kind of like one data type. So, it's that piggybacking off the success of, which it frustrates a lot of merchants. They're kind of in a world where a lot of apps kind of work that way. So I'm just curious with you guys, if that feedback's been given, but also kind of maybe the justification, that way I can do a better job of explaining to customers why that's the case.
Yeah, that feedback has been received and given, and we are definitely looking into pricing. Pricing was before my time when it was decided on, and I think a lot of it, full transparency, was kind of like that, right? Like the more we're kind of that restore app, right? So if you're down and you do 10,000 orders a month, you're going to be losing more money. The more orders you make, generally the more products you have, generally the more data we're storing. So yeah, it is kind of like the way you said it, like piggybacking off, but it is also one of the only variables that we can pull in to kind of see a store's size. And that is hard. You could have one store that sells something for $1 million, and they are on a $59 plan because they do 9 orders, but then you could have a store doing 900 orders on a $1 item, and they're paying us $2.99 a month, so there's definitely it's a double-edged sword, but I think the main reason they chose it was just because it was the one variable that we could pull in as a constant and kind of relay success to downtime to data storage per store. I'm going to bring this up to our pricing and product. As we're just chatting about it, we are looking at it, potentially doing more of a tiered or a la carte style, where, if you want SOC, like our GitHub pricing is fairly like that, where if you want SOC 2 type 2 servers or anything like, say, your meta fields backed up, anything like that, it's more of a like a la carte. You could be on the growth 20 orders because that's what you do, but you do feel like you need XYZ. So we can add, so maybe you're on like the 20 order plus plan where you feel comfortable paying for what you're getting, instead of just kind of lumping you into one of the 4 barrels that we or one of the 10 barrels that we kind of offer.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, I think that would, if it's more entity-based pricing, where it's the quantity of the entity that you're backing up, and that, wasn't always, I think that would, I know for my merchants anyway, that's definitely some of the feedback for them is like, if I have thousands and thousands of orders and it's X amount per order per month, and I want that ability to restore, awesome, I'll pay what that's worth. But especially certain merchants, they sell products that they don't have a lot of orders, but they're worth a lot. So it's just a whole but not to go too far down that tangent. I was just kind of curious if there was any sort of discussion, again, for me to keep an eye on those changes down the road.
No, super question. The other 2 things I'll flag to you, and anyone else on the call, if you ever do come up with that, reach out to anyone at Rewind. We have our annual plans have no overages. So that's more of a seasonal based plan. We don't advertise that on our site. And the other one is we have a light plans. So we have a $59 light plan and a $99 that we don't back up customers and orders. So just your site. So if you have someone with a massive amount of orders, say they're a coffee shop, they're running, say, Shopify point of sale, or they're just a tourist attraction where they have huge spikes and they don't really care about customer data, because if they lose it, they don't know, the person bought a $2 sticker. They didn't they're not in their recharge account or anything like that. So we have light plans that won't back up orders and customers. And then on the annual plans as well, we don't have overages on there as well. So there's a couple other plans that we have.
Excellent. Looks like Sean's got a question, so I'll pipe down for a moment here. Let somebody else do. Thanks, by the way.
Oh, no problem.
Sean,
Sean.
you're on mute. Can you hear me now?
Yep.
Okay, I'll just talk to myself. It's cool.
I do it all the time.
You mentioned backing up meta fields. In Shopify, is that only Shopify meta fields, or will it grab from elsewhere? Like, for instance, if we're using a custom fields app where it's managing a lot of meta fields for products and whatever else.
Yeah, so we won't grab from the third party, but we'll grab anything that's kind of like the way that we have it. Anything that's pushed into Shopify and can live in Shopify will back up, but we can't back up anything in a third-party app. So like, for example, I think it's Shogun is the big page builder, that if you save that page inside Shopify, we can back it up. But if it lives in the third-party app, we can't. So do you know, do those meta fields push over? They should,
So I
right?
believe, and if anybody's here that's willing to correct me, that'd be awesome. I believe that custom fields app particularly actually builds a theme and stores the files in the theme, stores that information in a theme file, which at that point, I believe you'd be able to back up, right?
Yep, we do theme files, yeah.
Cool. All right,
I got a quick question. So this app needs to be installed in a customer store. For us, we sort of offer sort of like plans, and the idea, the way I'm seeing it is, as an agency, I can tell them, hey, we can do this as an agency for your store. I just think offering it to them and having them pick up the cost would kind of take away from the value prop. I was wondering if you guys do something like that. And then to piggyback off that question, so we have Shopify Plus clients who have the ability to just set up a separate store for their dev environment. But then we have people that might be Shopify Advanced, and we set up a dev environment for them in our partner's account that's not published, right? Those kind of things, I would like to incur the cost and then, kind of pass it off on their subscription plans. Is there a possibility to do something like that?
Yeah, definitely. It's not something that we offer out of the box, but it's definitely something we're looking at, especially now with more and more agencies adding it to their build out and their contracts, and like, we install Rewind no matter what. But it's definitely something we can have a chat about, and it'll just depend on like size of clients, how many clients, and then we'd find the plan that would best fit you. For Shopify Advanced clients, anything on any plan 59 and above, you can bundle stores together. So you can have multiple stores sharing one plan. So if they're on Advanced and they're on our $59 plan, you could bundle their test shop underneath their current plan, and you wouldn't need to have 2 subscriptions. So that's a nice way too. But we definitely are looking into, I don't want to say like a reseller model, but a way of like, hey, if you're looking at always doing 5 clients for X amount, then we'll give you Rewind at a discount so you can put it into all of your stores. I think the issue we're running into there is the store owner needs to approve the charge.
Yeah, and
so that's the kind of weird thing. Yeah,
I think the owner would approve it. I just would like for the payment and management to be on my side.
Yeah, so we could bill through Stripe. Yeah, we could definitely bill through Stripe. That's no issue at all. So we can set something like that up where we would bill outside Shopify. They don't like to hear that, but it's a potential.
Tell Shopify.
We just don't tell them all the time.
Yeah, don't tell Shopify for sure.
Yeah. Don't tell Shopify anything.
Yeah, ever.
They know everything already.
Like Facebook.
Yeah.
And Amazon.
Yep.
Yeah.
It's interesting. I was talking to one of our agencies a couple of days ago, probably a couple of weeks ago now, and he had communicated one of the ways he uses copy. And I don't know if this resonates with everybody else, but before he installed copy, one of his big issues was actually showing his merchants the changes before they went live, because there wasn't always a dev store. So he'd make them on the live store, screenshot them, or have the merchant on the call and be trying to walk them through. With copy and having a dev store or a staging site or whatever you want to call it, he now has the ability to just send over the staging site, the login, and be like, here's all the changes I made, check it out live before it actually goes live. And so that gives the merchant a little bit more flexibility as well to be like, hey, Rachel, this was great, but I really would prefer this to be done, or as opposed to having to do all the screenshots, all the work in the live environment, and then take it all back out.
Anyone?
Me again. This isn't necessarily a rewind question, but it is kind of on topic, and I guess it's kind of a rewind question because it talks about GitHub. So this is for all the BigCommerce guys out there. I'm not sure how many of us are on this call, but we are looking at optimizing our theme push flow through GitHub. So we've got sort of a current setup where we basically push everything through GitHub, and then through GitHub we have an action that then spins up a stencil environment and pushes that to BigCommerce, bundles up the theme and pushes to BigCommerce. So basically the idea here is we don't want any theme changes done outside of GitHub. So the question I have is for anybody who's doing something like that, for me it's this since we're always spinning up a new stencil environment on GitHub, it takes like 3 or 4 minutes to do this action, which can become a little bit frustrating for the developer. So I'm just curious if anybody's got a different kind of workflow that they figured out to be able to stage those development changes and bundled up on BigCommerce.
Yeah, so we work in like an in-dev and then main branch workflow in GitHub and Shopify. So having an unpublished theme on an in-development branch. And then instead of doing a push, because that basically replaces the entire theme files and all the IDs would change, you instead do a merge. So then it can replace text updates, image updates, and you can do it on the live site or a separate staging site if you need to like completely redo the architecture, and then just through GitHub, get merged to the main branch and always have your main branch as the live theme.
Right, and maybe it's a little bit different with Shopify and BigCommerce, but with Shopify, do you bundle the theme at that point? Like to get a theme into BigCommerce, we have to like bundle the entire theme and then upload it to Big. You don't have to do that with Shopify.
Nope, 2 clicks of a button and then your changes are live and you can roll them back and cherry pick stuff really easily.
Okay, that is a nice Shopify feature. any other BigCommerce people though that are kind of in the same boat as us, where we got to do this whole bundle step?
Who else is doing BigCommerce here?
We do a lot of BigCommerce.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Unfortunately, you do have to bundle it all. I don't think there's anything to. I don't think there's any way around that.
Okay. Okay. Well, let's just throw it out there in case there was some other.
It's a bit depressing for Eamon.
A couple of minutes here and there. I can live through that. Yeah. Okay. Thank you.
Rewind.
Yeah.
Any other questions?
Rewind. Rewind backups. So you want chat backups, copy. So one thing that I think that we recently heard too with backups, I know this is kind of focused on copy, but a nice thing with rewind backups with agencies, I don't know if it was mentioned before, is if it's not a live site and you're one of our partners, it's free to install Rewind. So basically, if you bring on any new client, you can install Rewind for free through your partner stack link with us, and we will back up all of the work that you've done for this client. We recently just had an agency do that, used us for free. Client went to a barbecue, heard about this new sweet blog app that they had to have, installed it, ruined the custom code, ruined all of their blogs, and then they quickly used Rewind to bring all the blogs back. They didn't have to have the conversation of like, okay, now we're going to have to stop working on this to get your blogs back, anything like that. It didn't cost them a penny from Rewind or anything. And then it was an easy sell for the agency when they were going live, and us as well. And we'll always have a partner account manager that you don't even have to do the sale. Either myself or Aditya would be the ones that would help you out with that. So really, with Rewind, you can back it up for free on a dev site, and then we protect all your work. And then if they choose to use Rewind, they choose to use us, and if not, they don't. Just a little tidbit of information on this nice Thursday for that to help you out and protect your work. But I guess with copy, what would be the ratio of people here working with clients that have multiple stores on Shopify Plus? Because I know BigCommerce offers the sandbox. Do you find that a lot of Shopify Plus merchants are using their 1 to 10 URLs to make a test store? Or is it just kind of, they just know they're there and they just kind of sit there and don't do anything, and they rely on you for all questions, answers, and fixing things? And then I know David has a question after that.
For what it's worth, we always have a staging site using for Shopify Plus clients, and we have dev stores for staging sites for other non-Shopify Plus clients. We were actually looking into Rewind Copy for one of our clients recently and got stuck on that order cost as well, because for a staging site we don't really need the orders, and the client is too budget conscious to pay for the full whack. So just so I understand it, at $59 a month, we can back up everything except orders and customers, and use Rewind Copy Continuous to copy all the data over to a staging site. Is that right?
Yeah, so you could back up the site with a $59 light plan, which would exclude orders and customers, and then Rewind Copy is $99 a month for 2 stores, and then $29 a store after that for the continuous copy. But yes,
Okay.
you could do that. I believe in the copy though too. If you're looking to do the main copy, you can uncheck that you don't want orders and customers brought over. But the difference there is it's the 20 cents per item, and then you can remove customers and orders, but that's only the one time. And a lot of the times it's cheaper just to go with the $99 continuous than doing the 1 per item. But definitely you could run them on the $59 light and then the continuous copy to keep their staging sites up to date as much as possible without customers and orders.
How frequently can you run the continuous copy?
As much as you'd like.
Like, is it automatic? I didn't hear that part. There was Eamon, I think, had a question about it, but is that automated, or is this?
It's automated when you make a change and you approve the push. If that makes sense. So it's like it's manual, but we just don't want to copy the site every day in case you're making a change on one store and you don't want that pushed to the other stores.
Yeah. Okay.
But if you were to say, update all your product descriptions, push it, update all your images, push it. I mean, you can do all those in one action, but if that's not how if you're doing the build out in chunks, then you could use it as many times in a day as you wanted to use it under the $99 continuous push.
And for the that's great, thanks very much. And for the Rewind Copy, you just mentioned free on dev stores. So we're a Rewind partner. Do we need to do anything special, or do we just turn it on, and as long as it's a dev store, there's no charge?
That's for backup, sorry. Copy, there would be a charge, but I will look into that because I think that's a good thing we should take away, Allison, to product and pricing to see if that's something we could, flag to do a free copy the first time, especially if it's dev or live, because that's gonna just make everyone's lives easier. I'll get back to you on that charge.
Yeah.
Gerard, sorry. And David?
Yeah. So with all, like, BigCommerce has like B2B and Shopify is doing B2B. So does it back up all the B2B data as well?
Which kind of B2B data? Like your orders going through each side, or?
Customer price lists, all the,
I think it's a fairly new feature. Maybe you guys haven't developed for it.
Yeah, I
Yeah,
don't think we've dev for it yet, no.
So B2B, you can create a quote, submit a quote, the customer can approve it, then it turns into an order. You got customer price lists, you've got hierarchy, so customers can log in different, you have different hierarchical accounts. They can manage their accounts, buyers, purchasers. It's all, kind of tailored. And then Shopify's, catching up as well. They're trying to compete, but we're getting pretty hot and heavy into the B2B stuff. We try to target more enterprise clients. So we just wonder if that stuff's backed up.
Not currently.
David, just quickly though, and also maybe for you guys at Rewind, the whole B2B stuff with BigCommerce, a lot of it is done outside of BigCommerce. So if Rewind kind of stands by the same stuff with Shopify as BigCommerce, I think like for example, the customer accounts, David, that's all stored in the bundle B2B app. And then it's sort of, so I think that's kind of like the line in the sand, and correct me if I'm wrong here, but anything that's not in the BigCommerce like data set is not going to be backed up unless Rewind has explicitly integrated with that platform.
Yeah, that's a good point. They just bought that plugin and made it a part of their solution. They didn't really integrate it into BigCommerce, so you're probably not backing that stuff up.
Yeah. Now, price list, on the other hand, that would be a question I would have, guys, at Rewind. Do you guys have like an actual technical documentation where it's like, do we support these data entities or these APIs, so we can really get a good sense like everything that gets backed up?
Yep, definitely we do have that. I can send that over for you for sure.
Thanks.
And it's always good too if we send this out and you feel like something just keeps coming up, like I wish this was backed up, how come that's not backed up? Please let us know, and we can do some digging on as to why, and go from there. We recently as well got, I think, 2 to 3 e-commerce devs for our products. As you know, we go across a lot of platforms, so we are really doing a push right now, not just for copy but backups as well. We have some devs that can help us do a lot of really quick work, and there could have been things in the past that we just overlooked and don't back up, and we can. So right now, like Allison said, like with copy, we're slowly building it, like just not rebuilding, but just going over everything again with a fine-tooth comb and making sure that we've hit all check boxes, crossed all T's and dotted all I's along the way.
Well, and I think too, because when we built our apps, some of these things weren't as apparent, like MSF and MLI, which are big with BigCommerce right now, and like the B2B portion and customer lists and all of that stuff wasn't really a quote unquote thing, when the apps were being built and launched. So to Sam's point, that's why we've kind of pulled out the e-commerce program as a whole and now have like a separate dev team that's exclusive to e-commerce. And so all of this feedback has been super helpful because it's going to really help us grow the apps and make sure that they're more beneficial to you, our agency partners, because ultimately you're the ones that are going to be like, this needs to be helpful to me just as much as it needs to be helpful to my merchant, right? Like Rachel always says, Rachel help me out here, but always says she's always got that client that like screws something up the second the retainer is done or the second the store goes live because their cousin's brother's best friend said, load this app, and then they just blow up the site. And of course they come back to her, which makes sense, to fix it, right? And that's one of the biggest things that Rewind helps with. It's the scope creep, right? It's so you are still the hero for your merchant. You don't have to turn them away and say, sorry, you've got no more money left on your retainer, or, sure, I can do that, but it's going to cost my dev, $300 an hour. Like, are you ready to pay it? You can say, okay, let's fix it. And then because we have Rewind, and then let's talk about how we make sure that doesn't happen again. Let's dig in a little bit deeper, but here's how it's going to roll out. And your merchants aren't sitting there, your clients aren't sitting there going, like, I just paid you this much money and now I got to do it again, right? Because we all know they're not going to be super keen on being like, that was totally my fault and I shouldn't have, just gone ahead and done it without asking. But yeah, that's one of the big advantages for our agencies, is just knowing that the work they've put into it is protected and they can still continue to support and help their merchants without taking a huge hit on their business.
Yeah, I mean, my sense on it is the copy tool, and that's it's unfortunate that BigCommerce the continuous copy yet, but like I feel that's an easier one to introduce Rewind as a solution, because you're not saying you're going to mess up and here's the solution. Continuous copy is like you're enabling it with a new kind of power where you can use this staging site in quotes, to see it. It's basically just another store license, but at least that gives them like, wow, I can prep all my content, and then when it's all looking great and be approved by marketing director that I can just hit a button and it goes live. That's great, like that. And I mean, so I'm just expressing my excitement for continuous copy to arrive on BigCommerce, because I think that's a real nice hook.
I'll second that. Yeah, because help me understand though, just because unfortunately, or I guess fortunately, we haven't like ran like a complete restore in a production environment. Let's say there's the site's all completely messed up. We've got some custom code, custom checkout. We got all kinds of plugins, and we're just we want to do a complete restore. Does it restore the plugins like that we had installed? Does it, what does it not do? I guess I should ask.
Yeah, so it won't do plugins. It does. I just posted in the chat there actually a list of everything that we back up, and you will see there's a list in there as well of things that we don't back up or things that we can't, or we don't have the client or agency to restore themselves. But our support team will help you, just for the reason if you have any third-party apps or any like custom triggers or custom codes set up to perform actions, we don't want to let them restore their orders or restore a theme, or mainly orders and customers that might have something attached to it, or restore orders, and then you start sending out, like your third party starts sending out like 1,000 new products, right? So we want to make sure that everyone's on the same board when these happen. There are certain things that you can restore yourself, which will be in that list. But API or other like third-party apps and so forth, we can't restore, as we just don't back them up. But that list, David, I have it listed here to send you over a PDF as well, for everything that we back up for BigCommerce, and what we can restore. We also have a wicked support team. Like we really do. I need to like sing their praises. Like they will help somebody generally, no matter the plan they're on, get their stuff back. Like we have I know it's just Shopify, but I think we have like a 4.9%, 4.8 or something, like 860 reviews of 4-star, and the amount of sites they've saved is incredible. So we do have a wicked support team as well.
Okay. All right, great. That's awesome. So I'm assuming like custom checkout code is not backed up.
Not for checkout. No, I don't believe so.
Yeah. All right.
What would be the golden backup for everyone? What would be the one thing that you'd want to back up from sites?
I would just want like a complete restore from a time frame, like
Yeah.
I'm sure we're all familiar with the, the WordPress, I can just do whatever I want, mess up plugins and then restore back to 15 minutes ago and with the click of a button. That's I would see the gold standard.
Yeah.
That would be, instead of the piecemeal, but
Oh, for sure.
So with regards to builds, what about platform level? So we obviously hit BigCommerce and Shopify, but what would be, your next request from a platform perspective, either in the e-commerce ecosystem or outside of the e-commerce ecosystem?
it's Magento.
We have a lot of Magento people transferring over. Do you work with Magento clients as well, David?
Yeah, for some reason, Adobe's done just such an excellent job convincing people that Magento is the end all be all, and it's just amazing, and you have to go with it. So
Yeah.
even though it's at this point, I feel like they're all the same. I mean, they pretty much do almost if you can write some custom code or custom plugins, you can pretty much do most everything. It's just I think what people get convinced with the Adobe suite, where they feel like it's all connected and, oh, I'm just going to have marketing automation, right out of the box. And it's going to do everything that Adobe does, and so the enterprise clients, they look at the magic quadrant, right? And they say, oh, okay, here's Shopify, Magento, so we're not that crazy about it, but we'll do it because we have to, because it's, it's popular.
Yeah, the main reason I ask is because we have an agency, new agency, who is very high up with Magento, has recently switched over to Shopify, and is actually leveraging Rewind to lock in clients because of how much backing up your data on Magento costs by renting the server, by hiring developers, and so forth. So he's basically saying, hey, I can provide you with a better backup solution on Shopify. And with the cost that you'd pay for backing up everything on Magento, I can build your brand new site on Shopify. So he's like, that's his tweak on getting people from Magento to Shopify is Rewind because of the pricing of their backup solutions that they offer and have built in. So I was curious if that's something that ever comes up, because I know Rewind is the most expensive backup app. And as Eamon mentioned, pricing is something that is very sensitive, especially when it's based on orders. But there's so many people that jump on Magento and apparently they don't really blink an eye, right? They're like, oh no, this is how much backups cost? Okay, good. But then they jump over to Shopify and it's like $200 a month. They're like, nah, sorry. So I'm wondering if anyone with Magento has ever had that pushback on the price of a backup solution.
Yeah, when you get to that level, price doesn't matter as much. You get to the CTOs that just want the best in class solution, and oh, hey, my buddy at Honeywell, that's what they use. And, so you get to that level that, saving money, it doesn't matter,
Okay.
For some, possibly here, if a recession does actually happen, that might be more of a touch point, but it's, that it seems like the money, it's less about the money and more about, I want to have the best solution possible. And,
Yeah. Well, if anyone is migrating anyone from Magento to Shopify, you can always put that Rewind card in your pocket that their backups are now going to cost like a tenth, and they'll be SOC 2 Type 2 compliant and automated, and everything's dealt with. So if there is anyone ever doing that.
The licensing is Magento licensing. From Shopify to BigCommerce. You're talking, you want to spend 100-something thousand a year, or do you want to spend
1,000?
1,000 a month?
Yeah.
It's like so that's why we don't understand it. We go with it, but it's like, here's something that's way less expensive and it does pretty much the exact same thing. But
That's fair.
So that but no, it's a good point though. I'll definitely keep that in mind.
Yeah, and with that too, like the other one that I've noticed a couple agencies using to win proposals is that they do use Rewind. And I think even you kind of mentioned, like, you don't want to pitch like, hey, in case we make a mistake or you make a mistake, here's a backup solution. But they say, hey, we have a backup solution in place and they're SOC 2 Type 2 compliant.
Yeah.
Like, and I bet you haven't talked to another agency that has your business disaster plan and business continuity and disaster recovery plan already laid out, like ready to go, because chances are shit will hit the fan, whether it's our side or your side, but we've already thought of step 2 and 3. And if you show me another agency with that in their proposal, then you know what I mean, then they have your best interests in mind.
Yeah, definitely. It's a good point.
And I think that's really key. Like, we always say we're insurance, right? So like, you wouldn't buy a car and not put insurance on it, or you wouldn't buy a new house or even an apartment or a condo or whatever and not have insurance. And I think some of the merchants I've spoken to, at least, have been quite shocked when they find out, well, what do you mean BigCommerce or Shopify can't bring my store back? I'm like, well, unless something happens to their platform, you're out of luck, right? Like, there's nothing they can do to help you. And so that's always been kind of like what some of our agencies will say to their clients to help them understand, like. And of course, now with everything being so much more digital and continuing to go that way, you also have to worry about like cyber attacks. And I did an interview with a merchant in an agency a couple weeks ago, and the merchant said, I never thought I would be attacked because I wasn't, insert the blank, Target, Crate and Barrel. Like, I wasn't this big retailer. I was just a small, Allison shoe store kind of thing, and they were targeted and attacked, and they had nothing, right? So I think those are other, common use cases where you can help your merchants understand the importance.
Yeah, definitely.
Are you seeing the profile? Or one thing I was going to ask: are there competitors to Rewind? I feel like I'm so in the Rewind cult that nobody else exists.
And that's why we love you. So no, nobody else exists. You don't even want to look.
I don't know.
Else.
I've never heard of any other competitor to Rewind that is even worth if anybody even talks about ever.
Yeah, I mean, we definitely have competition. I'll use and I mean this, I know it's like Rewind and it's like we're chatting about Rewind, and I'll kind of use it lightly, like competition lightly, in a sense of like the next step I think is Talon Commerce. They do a great job of backing stuff up. But what they do is they are cheaper, 100%. Are you doing more work? 100%. Like you're highlighting it, you're kicking off every automated. They do every 24 hours, I believe, where we're real time. They also, you have to exclude everything you don't want backed up, which can slow down your store, whereas we run in the background, so it doesn't slow down anything. Like they even have it on their site saying like, if you want to back up this, it's going to take a long time for us to process this. And that's why we do it little bit by little bit by little bit by little bit, to keep it fast and up to date as soon as possible. So I think Talon would be our biggest one. There was another one that popped up the other day that felt like using our full description and logo. Yeah, it's called Backup.
It is called Backup. I think, Sam, I'll add to that and jump in if I'm totally off the mark here, but I think one of our biggest claims is that exactly what you said. We run in the background, right? So you don't have to think about it. There's no CSV import export. There's no, oh, I got to turn it on. There's no, I have to manually restore. It just, well, you have to manually restore. I apologize for that because you have to actually go in and select restore. But like, there's none of that. Like we take the thinking out of it, right? Like you just know it's there, it's running in the background, it's working. And when you have that, oh shoot moment, it's really easy to come back from.
Yeah, so just taking a quick look at backups in the Shopify App Store. Again, we're the only Shopify Plus certified app, but we have 911 reviews at a 4.9 star rating, and the next closest is Talon, which is 65 reviews. So that's kind of like the difference. But then again, I'm not someone to talk bad about competition because there's a fit for everyone's store somewhere, right? Or everyone's app in the ecosystem, or they wouldn't be there. So there's definitely a need for the services that Talon offers. I just feel like we offer a more automated, like Allison said, more automated, out of the box, worry-free, think-free. It's running. I don't need to do anything. And that's an argument we have too, is a lot of people say, I'll just back it up. I back it up. I export my theme, I export my orders, I export this. And it's like, okay, well, if you do that every Friday and something happens, you're 5 days behind for your restore. And what if you go on vacation? Or what if you need to restore? Where do those exports live? Like on your computer? Okay, great. Are they in a shared file with someone else? So if you go away and then someone else can't do it, or you fire this person and they have all of your information. So Rewind's just a different backup solution. And it's really what we do. As I mentioned, like our goal is to back up all SaaS platforms eventually, so that we can, so if you come to us with an organization, we can back up your Shopify store, and then we can back up your accounting's QuickBooks, and then we can back up your productivity's team's Trello, and then we can back up your developers' GitHub repos. So that's where we kind of are going towards as well. The one, what's it called? The one throat to choke. That's what we're going with. That's our sales pitch.
Talking my language, Sam.
That's it, right?
It's coming out in an ad soon. Look for
yeah,
it.
one throat to choke.
Nice.
And then with regards to copy, so I will preface this with, we are still really digging into copy and understanding what else is out there in the ecosystem. But from what we've done and the actions we've taken, we've really found that from a staging and dev perspective, copy is really the only one that hits that mark of that continuous back and forth copy sync, and really lets you live and breathe your dev site the same way you would live and breathe your live site. So Sam, let me know if I totally missed the mark on that one, but that's kind of the research we've come into, is really understanding that that's the big key differentiator with other copy products out there.
Yeah, no, you nailed it. And one of the actually apps in the Shopify store is Theme Backup by Daniel Sim, who is the head of our e-commerce team. So we got him on board not too long ago, which is also nice, as we have somebody new in our e-commerce leading the push, who has had a successful app with backups and copies in the Shopify ecosystem. So we definitely have a nice lead there as well right now. And for all agencies too, we have Allison, our head of marketing. So if you ever want to do co-marketing, anything like that, it's another strong push we do, so we can help out.
Yeah.
What's happening with your team then, Allison? Because you have Farah still on maternity leave. Is your team going to grow at any stage, or are you going to just do everything?
Well, I'm just going to do everything, and hopefully not die. No, I'm just kidding. So Farah will likely be back. So for those of you in the States, I apologize, but Farah gets an 18-month maternity leave. So she will be back October. No, the baby was born in October. She'll be back in March, I believe.
Oh, wow.
But our goal is honestly just to keep growing. And we're also looking at building, kind of tweaking it a little bit and doing more of like an e-commerce partner program versus just agency, and working with different tech apps like Gorgeous and Klaviyo, and really trying to figure out how we can work with them. And there's also some discussions going on that are potential about like different types of integrations and what that could look like. So I think we'll just continue to grow from a marketing perspective. But right now, absolutely 100%. We're always looking at building our content. We love content. We find it does really well because it really helps to promote and not only Rewind, but it helps to promote the agency involved, the merchant involved. And it's usually a pretty simple lift. One of the areas we've started pushing for a little bit more is building into like an actual, post-COVID, because of COVID, but an actual in-person opportunity. So understanding what opportunities are out there and how can we get in person in front of our agencies and out there to really kind of meet and greet and do that portion. So like our partnership manager is joining, Rachel, for any of you who joining in Gran Canaria at the end of the month. So he'll be there, and he's great. We'll have lots and lots of knowledge to share as well.
Mm-hmm. None of these agencies.
Oh, okay.
None of them have the. Michael was asking me about Gran Canaria and what he can do to snag a seat, but it didn't happen. Yeah, it's only for my agencies that work directly with me.
Oh, right. Okay. My
It
apologies.
does make me want to. I'm like, man, how do I get started in a program right now?
To end up in Gran Canaria by the end of the month. And to be honest, the end of the month is going to be fucking mental, because we have like I ditched the go-karting because they were charging $35 for an 8-minute go-kart ride, which feels,
oh my god,
mental. Like after 8 minutes, I feel you're only getting started, and then you have to stand in a line, and they'd only allowed so many people. But we have kayaking, paddleboarding, hiking, paintball, but it's not paintball, it's airsoft, because it's the less aggressive version of paintball and less messy and like violent, apparently. Which, what's the point if it's less messy and lless violent? Why would you do it? But
You're not going to be riddled with bruises. Why?
I know.
Why
And I'm like, I'm sure there's a lot of my clients that want to take shots at me, and there's definitely clients that I want to take shots at, and I'll take it. Right. Like I'm good. But anyway, Sebastian said he was a bit worried because there's women there, and they're a bit nervous about that, getting paint in their hair and getting bruised. And I'm just like, okay,
who cares?
We'll do airsoft. And we have a really nice boat cruise, and then we have the actual strategy workshop stuff. So it'll be 2 days of fun and 2 days of workshops.
You should just combine the airsoft and the boat cruise.
That could be fun.
Like
as long as everybody can swim, just gonna throw that one out
that's
there.
it. Yeah, you get shot, you jump off. Yeah,
it's amazing how many people, I don't know if it's like the altitude here, but it's amazing how many people are seasick but don't realize until they get on the boat and have altitude sickness. or motion sickness when you go up to the top of the mountains. I didn't realize that I had that bad motion sickness until I drove to the top of the mountain and my face went green and I was like, nobody talk to me. I need to get off this bus. No one talk to me. I cannot. If I talk, I'm going to puke everywhere. And then people that are like on boats all the time and then they get on the sea here and then they're just like, I need to sit at the back of the boat because I'm going to throw up. And I'm like, awkward. But yes, it should be super fun. Really looking forward to that. It's like months and months of planning, but it's almost finally here.
Well, my apologies. I didn't mean to rub it into anybody who can't.
It's all Michael's the only one who's going to be really upset about it. But
Yeah, that's it. I'll have to just get over it.
Maybe you could join a program and then hit the next one coming up.
Yeah, I think I'm considering doing that.
for next year. Yeah, the next one will be in March anyway. So it's like the next one is only ever 6 months away.
Cool. So I'll sign up in February.
Yeah, just sign up in February for just the mastermind, like a couple of $100 a month, just so you can attend the workshop. Like, why not?
I mean, I've always benefited from stuff we've done in the past, and I'm starting to get more of my management team on board doing stuff. So it might actually be time to. I've like seriously have just been considering it anyway. So.
Let's see. The ball's in your court, Michael.
Yes, the mangoes are in yours.
Most certainly. I've done so many tours around the garden that I think my husband's getting sick of it. He's just like,
fruit trees actually really cool. I would love to be able to have fruit trees in my backyard and just go and have access to them whenever.
Well, we just did a big massive plum harvest the other day, which is not a euphemism. It is actual plums. Let me see.
I've been eating a lot of peaches.
This is just like, I'd say that's.
Oh, wow.
Is it working?
Yeah, look at that mango.
Yeah, the one mango. I was talking to somebody on the phone and then I was like showing them around and I said, look at this mango, and it just fell into my hand. Still not ripe yet. But I have my plum harvest. So I have that was another bucket.
Part of me wants to ask what a plum harvest would be a euphemism for, and part of me knows just not to ask.
Yeah, nope, Sean.
I feel like it's not the plum
Don't
harvest. It's like code word for getting pregnant. Let's have a plum harvest, make a baby.
Oh yeah, that sounds good.
It feels like it makes sense.
I have to say that's much cleaner than I expected. So
is it? So yes, a plum harvest. We probably got about 300 or 400 plums off 5 trees.
Oh,
wow.
So it's just like me with a bucket and Steve being like, we need another bucket, and then go and get another one. And he's up at an old shitty ladder, and I'm like, okay, we need another bucket. So when the mangoes drop, and obviously they're not much bigger, there'll be hundreds of those. And then we have 7 orange trees. So when they come into season,
nice.
October, November, we kept the old fridge and put it in the laundry room just for the fruit. So when the oranges come, it's going to be insane. So we have cherries, guavas, guava berries. I didn't even know they existed. We have some weird fucking Canarian fruits, mangoes, avocados, pomegranates. Like half of this stuff, I don't even know what it is. I just know that I'm going to eat it. When it's ripe, I'm going to eat it. Huh?
Did you say lemons or limes or no?
Yes, we have a lemon tree.
That would be great for just like having fresh citrus for making cocktails. Like that's always something that ends up.
Yeah, we have like, I know we're super boring. We have green tea for breakfast every day and fresh lemon juice.
Oh yeah, that would be great.
So good.
That would be
so
amazing.
good. Yeah. So it's just like a little let me show you out the window. I've done this many times as well. So that's see the wee red one with the red trees, the red leaves, they're new mango leaves, so they go red first. And then the wee one over on this side is a little Brazilian cherry tree called a pitanga. Don't even know what that is. So they smell like pepper. They smell when you smell, and then when you bite into it, the skin tastes like pepper, and the inside tastes like a mango.
Like pepper, like the spice pepper,
like a bell pepper,
like a black pepper.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah, it's so weird. And then there's another pitanga, the bigger one, and then behind that is an avocado tree, which is too young right now, so it's not giving me any fruit. So that's just like one side, but the front of the house, there's like 30 at the front. So it's like proper farmers. This is farm life.
I'm going to need Roddy to smuggle this stuff back into Canada for us.
Well, I told Steve that it's just going to be smoothie life. I've got a big, massive, like 5 kilo bag of protein, and it's just going to be smoothies every day for the last 2 weeks. And I'm like, if this doesn't give me a fucking 8-pack, Nothing will. Like
Or you
nothing
could do a
will.
juicer. Do you have a juicer, Rachel?
I don't have a juicer. I do have a Ninja Bullet, so I'm just like put all the skins in and eat it all, because a juicer means you don't eat the skin, which is where all the fiber and goodness is really from.
True.
So bit of frozen banana, load of plums, because we picked them when they were just past being perfect. They were just like all overripe. Even though Steve did believe me, but they were overripe. I'm a farm girl. I know when shit it needs to be picked. And he's like, no, let's let them go really orange. And I'm like, they're dead. So we had to just basically crush them into water and put them in tubs and just basically slop them into the blender with a bit of frozen banana and a bit of blueberry and a scoop of protein powder. It's the shit.
There you go.
Yeah. So I'm basically an athlete. I'm living like an athlete eating like an athlete right now.
Amazing.
Well, thank you. That was great, Alison. If you want to stay on for a few minutes, I want to catch up with you. But any other questions?
We'll send out a follow-up to everybody with the 2 docs that Sam had put